All right, so now that we've seen how this module works from the user interface perspective, let's take a look at the code. So I'm going to jump to my Drupal 7 directory. You don't need to set this up. This is really just for demonstration purposes. But this Trails module is the same one that we're just about to copy from the 27th step inside of our steps folder in the Symfony and D8 and upgrading modules folder. Okay, so this is the Drupal 7 base directory, and we have Trails inside of the Sites All Modules folder. And I'm going to expand that. And let's start by taking a look at the .module file. This is where most of the code exists. So here's the full signature of our module file. All of these are hooks into Drupal's API. Let's take a look at these. So first we have hook init, and inside of hook init, this is what's running before virtually anything else. We're grabbing the Trails history variable, and Trails history is where we store that list of pages that are visited. And then to the end of this trail variable, we add a new array that includes the title, path, and timestamp of the current page visit. And then we finally reset the Trails history variable with this new item added to it. Okay, so every time we refresh the page or go to a new page, this is going to run and add an item to that variable. All right, I'm gonna scroll down. So now we have Trails permission, and we have two permissions that people can have. Administer Trails, which allows us to perform administration tasks for the Trails module. So this probably gives us access to the configuration page where we can set the maximum number to show in the block configuration form. And second, we have access Trails blocks. So user probably needs this permission in order to see that list of pages visited. All right, going to scroll down a little bit more. In hook menu, this is where we define new pages, and we're defining our configuration page for the Trails module in admin config Trails. This follows the same pattern that we used in our Drupal 7 development core concepts videos for setting up an administration page. We use Drupal get form as the page callback, and then that callback function supplies the render array for the form. And we put that function inside of a separate file, so we don't have to load in that admin code on every page load. So that's in Trails admin inc. Let's take a look at that file real quick. So I'm going to jump back to the File Explorer and open up trails.admin.inc. Okay, so really simple here. Here's the function that gets called. The form has one input, Trails block max, and then we use the system settings form in order to magically generate this form that will save the value here inside of the variable system inside of Drupal 7. So we don't have to process the submission manually. It will happen automatically when we use this system settings form. Okay, so I'll exit out of this. Next, we have Trails help, which is an implementation of hook help. And this just gives us a way to register help content for the help page and the configuration page. And I'll scroll down a little bit more. Okay, now we have kind of the meat of our module where we add the block. The first part is hook block info, so Trails block info. This is where we supply the metadata about our block. So you see we have this blocks array. We're giving it a unique identifier here called history. And then we're setting it up with info, which is the title in this case, and how we're going to cache this block. In this case, we're saying we don't want to cache it at all by using the Drupal no cache constant here. And then we return this. In this case, we only have one, but we would continue adding items to this blocks array if we had more blocks we wanted to display. I'm going to scroll down. The next part of creating this block is adding our custom configuration to allow the user to set how many items to display in the block. So this is hook block configure, so it's called Trails block configure. So the name of the function is Trails block configure. So first what we do is grab that variable that we set through our administration configuration, which is the max number to display in this form. And then we create the form element to allow the user to select the number of items to show. And we use Drupal map assoc in order to create an array of key values that where the key is the same as the value, and it goes all the way from 1 up to max to display, which is what we set here. And we pull the default value, which is Trails block num, which is set down here, if we scroll down, in hook block save. So when this configuration form is submitted, then it looks for hook block save. So we have the function Trails block save. And in here, what we're doing is grabbing the Trails block num, which is what we defined here in the form. This gets passed in the edit array here. And so we're setting Trails block num to this value here in the variable system.